Hello and welcome to my channel MochaKnot. This is my first official YouTube video. I feel like maybe I should give a bit of an introduction of who I am before talking about the specific pattern that I'm going to be showcasing today with you. I have been crocheting on and off about, I think it's actually been 7 years now. I've had many different names, could never figure out the exact one that I truly felt was me until I found MochaKnot. It's perfect. I love it. It's me, it's cozy, chocolate, you know, sweets. But yeah, so I am MochaKnot, and for this first official YouTube video, we're going to be doing a very special pattern. It is a cardigan that I designed probably 2 years ago. I was living in Asheville, North Carolina at the time, very in touch with the sacred geometry, as I always have been since I started crocheting. It is a really good design to showcase my style, I feel like. Just like connecting the old me with the new me. Very flower of life, you know, still that sacred geometry side of myself. Again, this is a one-size-fits-all cardigan, and as long as you learn the stitches that I have in the stitch guide before the tutorial, which is in US terms, by the way, as long as you learn those, and if you don't know them yet, I will most likely link them down below. But you can always search YouTube for short tutorials on how to do these stitches. They're all very easy. I'd say that this is an intermediate beginner tutorial. But if you guys have any questions, please just put them down in the comments or go ahead and DM me in my socials, which will also be linked. I am active every day. I work from home. I'm a streamer, I'm a gamer, and a crocheter. So yeah, I am really excited to see where this channel goes, but hope you guys enjoy the tutorial, and let's get started with the video. So let's go ahead and get started. First, we will be creating a slip knot. Everyone does this differently. There are a ton of short tutorials you can watch to make one, or you can follow along with me. I will be doing the pretzel method to make our slip knot. I've done it since I started crocheting. So go ahead and make that slip knot, then pull your yarn all the way tightly to the hook. Next, we will be chaining 1, and after that chain 1, you will chain 9. So go ahead and chain 1, and then chain the 9. So chain 1, chain 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then chain that last one, 9. You will continue by chaining 9 another 29 more times. Don't worry if you lose count, you can always count from the start. So go ahead and chain 9 29 more times. I will see you at the end. Now that you have chained 9 another 29 times, you should end with a total of 271 chains. To finish off the foundation row, we will go ahead and chain 2 so that there are a total of 273 chains. So go ahead and chain those last 2. Chain 1 and 2. We will now begin the second row by single crocheting into the second chain from our hook. So go ahead and create that single crochet stitch. And then you will be slip stitching into that very next chain. We'll go ahead and slip stitch. Then you will chain 13. Chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and you will be slip stitching into that same starter chain to create a chain 13 loop. And from here, you will be repeating these next steps for the row. You will start by chaining 8, chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. You will skip 8 chains from the chain 13 loop. So skip 8 and slip stitch into the 9th chain, like so. Okay, so it should start to look like this. Now you will be recreating the chain 13 bunny loop. So chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and go ahead and slip stitch back into that same starter chain to create a chain 13 loop. And you will chain another 13, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Slip stitch into the same chain so that you end with 2 chain 13 loops in the same chain. If you followed along correctly, it should look like this. Starting with 1 chain 13 loop, 8 chains in between, skipping 8 chains, and then 2 chain 13 loops at the end. You will be repeating those steps another 28 more times to the end of the row. So go ahead and repeat those steps, and I will see you at the end. Now that you have repeated those steps 28 times, we shall continue the row. It will be quite similar to the previous steps, so go ahead and chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Skip 8 chains and slip stitch into the 9th chain. Now chain 13, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Slip stitch into the same chain to create a chain 13 loop. And to end the row, you will single crochet into that very last remaining chain. And the end should look like this. For this next row, we will be connecting the chain 13 loops. Begin by chaining 9. So chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now turn your work. Again, this row we will be connecting the chain 13 bunny loops together. In the first loop, you will insert your hook into the middle 7th chain, yarn over and pull through. Now insert your hook into the middle 7th chain of the next chain 13 loop, yarn over, and pull through. You should have 3 remaining chains, yarn over, pull through those 3 remaining chains, and it should look like this. It kind of create like a right angle on the side. This next part will be the steps you repeat for the rest of this row, continuing to connect the chain 13 loops together. Start out by chaining 8, so chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Insert your hook into the middle 7th chain of that next chain 13 loop, yarn over, pull through. Now insert your hook into the middle 7th chain of the next chain 13 loop, yarn over, pull through. You should always have 3 remaining loops on the chain, or on the hook, sorry. Now yarn over, pull through those remaining 3 loops. And it should look like this. Now you will be repeating those steps another 28 more times till you reach the end of the row. Now that you have repeated those steps 28 more times, let's go ahead and finish off this row. First we will be chaining 4, so chain 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we will take the yarn and tightly wrap it around the hook 4 times. Holding the yarn tightly, insert your hook into the last single crochet of the previous row. Next, yarn over, pull through. You should have 6 remaining loops. Yarn over, pull through the next 2 loops. Yarn over, pull through the next 2. Yarn over, pull through the next 2. Yarn over, pull through the next 2. Yarn over, pull through those last 2. Our finished row should look like this. Now to begin this next row, you will chain 1 and turn your work. Next, single crochet into the second chain from your hook. Now you will be chaining 4. Chain 1, 2, 3, 4, skip 4 chains and slip stitch into that 5th chain. Now we will be chaining 13, so chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Slip stitch back into that same stitch. Go ahead and chain another 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Slip stitch back into that same stitch. You should have 2 chain 13 loops in the same single crochet joining stitch. Now these next steps you will be repeating to the end of this row. Begin by chaining 8s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Skip 8 chains, slip stitch into the 9th chain, which is the next joining single crochet from the previous row. Now chain 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Slip stitch into the same stitch. Now chain another 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And of course, slip stitch that back into the same stitch. So you have 2 chain 13 loops in the same chain. The row should start to look like this. You will be repeating those last steps another 28 more times to finish the row. I will join you at the end. After you have completed those steps another 28 more times, you should reach the end with the row looking like this. To finish off the row, you will be chaining 4. So chain 1, chain 2, 3, and 4. Now you will single crochet into the 5th middle chain of that chain 9 strip. And now you have finished the row. Let's go ahead and move on to the next steps. You will begin by chaining 5. So chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and as always, make sure to turn your work. Next, you will single crochet into the middle 7th chain of the first chain 13 loop. And this next step you will repeat to the end of the row. Begin by chaining 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Insert your hook into the middle 7th chain of the next chain 13 loop. Yarn over, pull through. Now insert your hook into the 7th chain of the next chain 13 loop. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through those last 3 remaining loops to create a joining single crochet. Should look like this. We are now beginning to see the flower of life design. Again, you will be repeating these steps another 28 more times. I will meet you at the end. Now that you have repeated those steps 28 more times, it should look like this. You should have one remaining chain 13 loop that has not yet been worked into. To finish off, you will chain 8. So chain 1, chain 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Insert your hook into the middle 7th chain of that last chain 13 loop. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through the last 2 remaining loops to create a single crochet. There is one last final step to finish this row. Holding your yarn tightly, wrap the yarn around the hook 4 times. And then insert your hook into the last single crochet of the previous row. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through next 2 loops, yarn over, pull through next 2 loops, yarn over, pull through next 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the next 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. And that will create a single crochet to finish off your row. Now let's go ahead, chain 1 and turn your work. Now that you have turned your work, we will begin by single crocheting into the 2nd chain from our hook. Next, slip stitch into the very next stitch. Now chain 13, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Slip stitch into that same stitch. And these next steps will be repeated to the end of the row. Begin by chaining 8, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, skip 8 chains, slip stitch into the 9th chain, and chain 13, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, slip stitch into the same stitch. Now chain 13 again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13, slip stitch into the same stitch. You should have 2 chain 13 loops in the same stitch. Now repeat those steps another 28 more times. I will see you at the end. Okay, let's go ahead and finish off this row. Chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Skip 8 chains, slip stitch into that 9th chain. Now chain 13, so chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Slip stitch that back into the same stitch. There should only be one chain 13 loop in this stitch. And to finish off the row, you will single crochet into the very next chain. Alrighty, let's go ahead and continue by chaining 9 and turning your work. So chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Go ahead and turn your work. We will be combining the chain 13 loops. Should be familiar from a previous row. So let's go ahead and connect those first 2 loops. You will begin by inserting your hook into the middle 7th chain of that first chain 13 loop, yarn over, pull through. Now insert your hook into the next chain 13 loops 7th middle chain, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through the last 3 loops. Okay, and these next steps you will be repeating to the end. Begin by chaining 8. Insert your hook into the 7th middle chain of the next chain 13 loop. Yarn over, pull through. Insert your hook into the 7th middle chain of the next chain 13 loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through the last remaining 3 loops to create that joining single crochet. Now you will be repeating those steps, you guessed it, another 28 more times. I will see you at the end. Your project should now look like this. Now from here, you will be repeating from timestamp 10 minutes 26 seconds to the present 23 minutes 3 more times. So go ahead and repeat those and I will see you then. After repeating from the timestamp 3 times, it should now look like this. You definitely can see the repetitive flower of life design we have created. Let's go ahead and complete our final row. Let's go ahead and finish our final row. You should have left off exactly like this. To start, we are going to chain 9. So chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and go ahead and turn your work. Okay, so this row we've done a few times now. You're going to be connecting your chain 13 loops together. Begin by inserting your hook into the middle 7th chain of that first chain 13 loop. Yarn over, pull through, insert hook into the 7th middle chain of the next chain 13 loop. Yarn over, pull through, and yarn over, pull through the remaining 3 loops to create our joining single crochet. These next steps you will be repeating to the end of the row, so begin by chaining 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Insert your hook into the 7th middle chain of that next chain 13 loop, yarn over, pull through, insert your hook into the middle 7th chain of the next chain 13 loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through the remaining 3 loops. Again, you will be repeating those steps to the end of the row. It should be another 28 more times, and I will meet you there. I did forget to film this step, but it will be repetition of this previous row. So you're going to go ahead and chain 4 to start, and holding the yarn tightly, wrap the yarn around the hook 4 times. Insert that hook into that last single crochet. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the next 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the next 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the next 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2 remaining loops. Yay, okay, so your project should now look like this. The next part will be the sleeve, and you will need to follow along very carefully. Repeat this part if you need to. We need to make sure that you fold this piece correctly so that we can create our sleeve. So you're going to begin by taking your work from the right side and fold it so that the last row is folded in half, with the starting row sitting over the end of the row. Your very first stitch will sit on top of the bottom left corner, and it should look like this. Now go ahead and flip it horizontally. Now the first part of this piece will sit on the bottom of the right hand corner. The beginning of the last row will sit on the bottom of the upper left corner, with the end of the last row sitting on top of that upper left corner. Now that the project is stacked like so, we will be connecting the folded last row together, starting from the right where we left off. Insert your hook into the second chain from your hook, and with your yarn sitting to the right, you will work into the bottom piece. Insert your hook into the middle 5th chain of that chain 9. Now yarn over, pull all the way through 2 loops. Now pull through the remaining 2 loops to create a single crochet. Chain 4, 2, 3, 4, insert hook into the front pieces, joining single crochet. To be this one there. Next, insert your hook into the back pieces, joining single crochet, and they should mirror each other. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through the remaining 2 loops to create a single crochet. The front and the back should always be joined by a mirrored stitch. This next part you will be repeating 8 times. Chain 8, chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Skip 8 chains, insert your hook into the next chain, the joining single crochet in the front. And now insert hook into the mirrored single crochet in the back piece. Yarn over, pull through all the way. Yarn over, pull through those last 2 remaining loops. Now that you've repeated those steps 8 times, it should look like this. Make sure that you join the front and the back of the folded rows at mirrored stitches. Before beginning our sleeve, go ahead and grab your scissors and cut the yarn at least 6 inches from your hook. Now go ahead and yarn over the hook and pull through all the way tightly to end working with color A. Make sure you tighten it all the way. Should end with an open sleeve hole that looks just like this. Okay, I did grab a pillowcase so that you could see this a little bit easier. We will be starting from where we left off with color A and working into that row all the way around in a circle loop pattern. Now let's go ahead and grab our color B yarn. If you'd like, you can continue with color A for the sleeve. And we will be again continuing from where we cast off with our color A yarn. If you decide to use the same color, just continue, you don't have to cast. Okay, let's go ahead and insert our hook into the space we left off with color A. Wrap our yarn around the hook with the end of the yarn sitting behind the hook, and make sure to hold the yarn tightly and pull through that first chain. Now yarn over with both strings of color B and pull through to create a chain. Let go of the tail end and chain 12. You should end with a total of 13 chains. Now go ahead and slip stitch into that first stitch. Then it should look like this, a chain 13 bunny loop. And these next steps you will repeat all the way around the sleeve to the end. Go ahead and begin by chaining 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Skip 8 chains, slip stitch into the 9th chain, which is the next joining single crochet. Next, you will chain 13. Now go ahead and slip stitch into the same stitch. And repeat that by chaining another 13. So chain 1, chain 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and slip stitch into that same stitch. You should have 2 chain 13 loops in the same stitch. Again, you will be repeating these steps all the way around the sleeve to the end of the row, and you should end with 8 chains remaining. Now that you have repeated those steps to the end of the row, again, you should have a total of 8 remaining chains to end off the row. Make sure there are always 2 bunny loops in each joining single crochet. Let's go ahead and finish off by chaining 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Slip stitch into that first stitch that we worked with. Now you will go ahead and create one more chain 13 loop. And slip stitch back into that same beginner stitch. You should have 2 chain 13 bunny loops in the same stitch. For this next part, you will be working into the side of the chain 13 loop to reach the very top. You will be slip stitching starting with that first chain. Go ahead and slip stitch. Now into the second chain, slip stitch. Into the third chain, slip stitch. Into the fourth chain, slip stitch. Into the fifth, slip stitch. Into the sixth, slip stitch. and into the 7th last middle chain, you will slip stitch. To begin this row, you will insert your hook back into the same 7th middle chain of that chain 13 loop, yarn over, pull through, insert your hook into the 7th middle chain of the next chain 13 loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through those last 3 remaining loops to create a joining single crochet. This next part you will be repeating all the way around to the end of the row. Begin by chaining 8, now insert your hook into that first 7th middle chain of the next chain 13 loop, yarn over, pull through, insert your hook into the next 7th middle chain of the very next chain 13 loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through the remaining 3 loops. And again, you will be repeating this all the way around to the end of the row, and I will meet you back then. Okay, now that you have repeated those steps all the way around to the end, it should look like this. All we have to do to finish off the row is chain 8 and make sure to connect that to the first joining single crochet. Go ahead and create that chain 8, so chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now slip stitch into that first joining single crochet that we created at the beginning of this row. Let's go ahead and get started on this next row. You will begin by creating a chain 13 loop. So go ahead and create that chain 13. You will slip stitch into that first stitch, and the next steps you will be repeating to the end. So chain 8, skip 8 chains and slip stitch into the next joining single crochet. Next, you will create a chain 13 loop, so go ahead, chain 13, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Go ahead and slip stitch into that first stitch. Now create a second chain 13 loop. Make sure to slip stitch into that same stitch so that you have 2 chain 13 loops in the same stitch. It should look like this, and remember, you will repeat those steps all the way to the end of the row. Continuing in the loop pattern, you should end in that last joining single crochet space. I will see you then. Now that you have repeated those steps, it should look like this with 2 chain 13 bunny loops in each joining single crochet space with 8 chains remaining in this row. Let's go ahead and finish off this row. You will begin by chaining 8. So chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Slip stitch into that first single crochet and create a chain 13. So chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Slip stitch into that first stitch so that you have 2 chain 13 bunny loops in the same single crochet. Okay, so you will be repeating from timestamp 34 minutes and 12 seconds to timestamp 40 minutes and about 10 seconds, I believe. I do this 2 more times, but you can do it to your preference of your sleeve length. Your sleeve should look like this. Again, you can repeat from those timestamps as long as you like. I did do it 2 times to get it to this length, and now we will be working with our last yarn, color C, to finish off this sleeve. Just as with yarn color A, we are going to be fastening off. Again, if you want to continue with the same colors, you are more than welcome to. In that case, you can skip this step, but go ahead and cut off at least 6 inches from the hook. Once you have cut the yarn, go ahead and pull it through tightly all the way to create a knot. Go ahead and grab your yarn color C, or again, you can continue with the same color. I personally like to use multiple colors, but it is up to your preference. This will be different from when we connected our yarn color B. That way it has a smooth transition of color. You're going to insert your hook into the 7th middle chain of a chain 13 bunny loop, yarn over, and make sure you hold the yarn tightly with the tail of the yarn to the right of the hook. Make sure you pull through all the way. Holding tightly, insert your hook into the 7th middle chain of that next chain 13 bunny loop. Now yarn over with both and pull through, yarn over, pull through with the string, leaving the tail of the yarn behind to create that first joining single crochet. These next steps you will be continuing all the way around. Begin by chaining 8, so chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now insert your hook into that next chain 13 loops, middle 7th chain, yarn over, pull through, insert your hook into the next 7th middle chain of the next chain 13 loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through the remaining 3 loops. It should look like this. And remember, you are going to be repeating this all the way around. I will meet you at the end. Alrighty, it should look like this. Should be very familiar. Should have connected all the chain 13 loops into a joining single crochet. But let's go ahead and finish off this row. You're going to be chaining 8 to begin. So chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now slip stitch into that first joining single crochet we created at the beginning of the row. Let's go ahead and begin the next row by chaining 13. So chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Now slip stitch into that first single crochet. And this next part you will be repeating to the end, so chain 8. Skip 8 chains, slip stitch into that next joining single crochet. Now chain 13. So chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Slip stitch into that same single crochet. Now chain 13 again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 and 13, slip stitch into that same single crochet so that you have 2 chain 13 bunny loops in the same chain. Should look like this, and again repeat those steps all the way around to the end of the row, and I will see you there. Alrighty, now that you have repeated that to the end of the row, let's go ahead and finish off by chaining 8s. Chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now slip stitch into that first stitch and chain 13, so chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Now slip stitch into that same stitch so that we have 2 chain 13 bunny loops in the same single crochet. Just as we did earlier, we will be working into the chains of the chain 13 loop next. Begin by single crocheting into the first chain. Now single crochet into the second chain. Single crochet into the third chain. Single crochet into the fourth. And the fifth, the sixth, and now single crochet into that 7th middle chain of the loop to end up at the top. Okay, and now insert your hook back into that 7th middle chain, yarn over, pull through. Now insert your hook into the 7th middle chain of the next chain 13 loop. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through the remaining 3 loops on the hook to create that joining single crochet. It should look like this. These next steps you will repeat to the end of the row. Begin by chaining 8. Next, insert your hook into the 7th middle chain of the next chain 13 loop. Yarn over, pull through, insert your hook into the next 7th middle chain of the next chain 13 loop. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through the remaining 3 loops to create that joining single crochet. This should be familiar, and again, repeat this to the end of the row and I will meet you there. Alrighty, now that you have reached the end, it should look like this. I have to say, I do really love how this ombre yarn is looking, especially with the purple for the body, but let's go ahead and finish off this row. Go ahead and chain 8. Now slip stitch into that first joining single crochet we created at the beginning of this row. Now repeat from 44 minutes and 24 seconds to 48 minutes and 35 seconds to your desired length, and I will see you then. I did repeat those steps 2 more times to reach just below my elbow. Again, you can do it as many times as you'd like, but let's go ahead and fasten off the yarn about 6 inches from where we left off. Now go ahead and pull the yarn through the loop. Make sure you pull all the way through tightly to create a knot and to end off the sleeve. Go ahead and repeat all of the steps from the beginning to create a second version. After you have repeated all of the steps from the very beginning, you should end with 2 exact copies of the same project. That includes the body and the sleeves. I did actually change how I use the colors. I did like how it turned out. Again, you can always use the same color yarn through the whole project, or you can just use two. You could have them be exactly symmetrical in the color style that you do. I did pick this one. I just, I like to have colors switch like this. It's just always been in my style. But yeah, we are gonna go ahead and now connect these two pieces so that we can go ahead and finish off this project. Just make sure that you have them folded just as pictured in the image provided. We are going to begin working at the very bottom blue line of this picture to start joining both sides. Again, we will begin by working starting from the bottom of the project. We will be working just as we did before into the mirrored stitches. Go ahead and grab your hook and yarn color of your choice. Insert the hook into the very bottom single crochet and insert your hook into the mirrored bottom single crochet of the opposite side. Yarn over with the tail to the left, holding tightly, pull through both stitches, yarn over with both strings, and you should create a chain. Leaving the tail behind, we will now begin to work into these stitches. Begin by inserting it into the next single crochet of the left side and then the mirrored single crochet of the right side. Yarn over, pull through both stitches, yarn over again, pull through remaining stitches to create a single crochet. These next steps you will be repeating. Make sure you do work into the mirrored stitches on both sides. Let's go ahead and begin by chaining 9. So chain 1, chain 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Insert your hook into that joining single crochet on the left side. Now insert your hook into the mirrored joining single crochet of the right side. Yarn over, pull through both stitches all the way so you have 2 remaining loops. Now yarn over, pull through those remaining 2 loops to create a single crochet. Again, just a reminder, make sure you are connecting both sides so that they are a mirrored stitch. That way it doesn't end up being lopsided. So we can keep this a nice even cardigan. You will be repeating those steps 14 more times, and I will see you at the end. Alrighty, this will be our last step. You will be grabbing your scissors and cutting the yarn at least 6 inches from where you left off. Take your hook, yarn over, pull the yarn all the way through, tighten all the way to create a knot. And just to finish off, you'll go ahead and weave in all those yarn tails. And yeah, we are all done. I wanted to remind you guys to turn the cardigan inside out so that it is on the right side. I also wanted to give a final thank you to everyone for watching, for being here, for supporting me. This is my first YouTube video, so any likes and subscribes will mean the world to me. But yeah, thank you. See you next time.